Hi everyone, my name is Natalie COF, and as many of us are aware, Trump's border wall has grabbed the attention of the majority of the nation. Trump claims that the United States is facing a crisis over illegal immigration. According to the author Ben Schreckinger from Politico, Trump stated that we have to stop illegal immigration, we have to. He views undocumented immigrants as a threat to the United States, but undocumented immigrants have a positive impact on the country and they play a vital role. According to the same political author, Trump also said, they're taking our jobs, they're taking our manufacturing jobs, and they're taking their money, they're killing us. People are often mistaken by the belief that undocumented immigrants are a threat to the success and future of the country, but in reality they are extremely beneficial to the country in many ways. Today, I'm going to speak about how undocumented immigrants are not taking away the jobs from Americans and how the United States needs undocumented immigrants because they are beneficial to society. Undocumented immigrants benefit the economy, and lastly, undocumented immigrants often take the jobs that Americans don't want. To begin, undocumented immigrants are beneficial to society. According to the New York Times, Hillary Clinton stated that undocumented immigrants provide labor to American employers. Undocumented immigrants contribute 24% of farming occupations and 15% construction occupancies. Although they are still outnumbered by U.S. citizens, and the U.S. civilian workforce includes 7.8 million unauthorized immigrants, according to Pew Research. Undocumented immigrants mostly work in farming, fishing, janitorial, construction, and factory jobs. And this benefits American society because these jobs are less likely to be filled by American citizens because of the intensive labor that they have to put in the jobs. And without undocumented immigrants, these industries would suffer and possibly fail. According to Mary Jo Dudley, the director of Cornell Farm Worker Program at Cornell University, she states in 2017 research conducted by the Cornell Farm Worker Program, 30 New York dairy farmers told us that they turned to undocumented workers because they were unable to find and keep reliable U.S. citizens to do the jobs. That's in part because farm work can be physically demanding, dirty, and socially degrading. More importantly, it is one of the most dangerous occupations in the U.S. The labor of undocumented immigrants is vital for farms because most farms rely on the work of undocumented immigrants. Another reason why undocumented immigrants have a positive impact on society is that they're less likely to committing crimes while living in the U.S. According to the Washington Post, the Trump administration brings forth the notion that immigrants who study in the country illegally represent a threat to public safety. In a study by the Libertarian Cato Institute in 2015, it found that native-born residents were more likely to be convicted of a crime than immigrants in the country, legally or illegally, and based off their respective populations, there were 56% fewer criminal convictions illegal immigrants than of native-born Americans. This study goes against assumptions that undocumented immigrants are more likely to committing crimes in the U.S. Stated by the Washington Post, a study done by Michael T. Light and Ty Miller concluded that not only does illegal immigration not increase crime, but it may actually contribute to the drop in overall crime rates observed in the United States in recent decades. According to these studies, a recent decrease in the overall crime rates in the U.S. shows how undocumented immigrants have a positive impact on American society. Secondly, undocumented immigrants don't take away jobs from Americans who need work and leave an overall positive impact on the U.S. by taking the jobs that Americans are less likely to want. According to the New York Times, Trump called for a crackdown on illegal immigrants, saying that they compete directly against vulnerable American workers, and he promised to boost wages to ensure jobs are offered to American workers first. Many undocumented immigrants are low-skilled workers and are able to take and are only able to take the labor-intensive jobs such as farming, for example. Undocumented immigrants are easily, it is more likely that they'll get those labor-intensive jobs because there's less competition with American citizens. As I stated earlier, undocumented immigrants play a vital role when they take the labor-intensive jobs Americans are not interested in taking because employers depend on undocumented immigrants to keep their businesses alive. Lastly, undocumented immigrants also help the U.S. by contributing to the economy. One way immigrants improve the economy is by simply just living in the U.S. By spending money on American businesses, they contribute to the economy. And also, by paying taxes, they contribute to the economy. According to the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy, undocumented immigrants are taxpayers to collectively contribute an estimated $11 billion to the state and local officers each year via a combination of sales and excise. And there's also 8% of their incomes in state and local taxes each year. While it is unlikely to happen in the current political environment, undocumented immigrants' state and local tax contributions could also increase up to $2 billion under comprehensive immigration reform, boosting their effective tax rate to 8.6%. People often believe that undocumented immigrants hurt the United States, but in reality, they're beneficial to the society because they help the economy, they help American businesses, they provide labor to them, they provide cheap labor, and they pay taxes.
Well, I know the general direction of your argument, but you've got so many claims that you present at the beginning, I couldn't tell what the proposition is. They all fit generally together, and you should have them covered by one single proposition. When you get to the body of the speech, some of the claims sound a little bit different than what you were previewing in the beginning, so it's less clear exactly how this argument is going to build than it probably should be. When you get to the body of the speech, you do signpost benefits, and then it sounded like there were two other claims before you got to this, what you labeled as the second claim, that they don't take the jobs. It sounded to me like that was the same thing that you were saying on the first point. You had evidence that talked about how they were labor-intensive jobs and it was difficult to fill those jobs. And then the second point says they don't take the jobs because they're labor-intensive jobs and they can't find people to take the jobs. So it sounds a little bit like it's, a duplication of the same claim. I think there are some distinct claims here. There's a claim about public safety. There's a claim about tax revenues. And those, I think, are really the second and the third claims in your argument. So it needs to be kind of organized a little bit differently. I thought you had a lot of good evidence to support the position that you're taking. Sometimes it becomes a little problematic because the evidence frequently starts with this discussion about what Trump's argument is, and then there's a follow-up explanation of it. I think that benefits the idea that there is a controversy on the subject, but it sometimes is a little bit distracting in explaining to us what your claim is on those particular points. You did a good job citing all of your sources in the presentation. The presentation issues, I think there's some anxiety stuff going on. You've got some body movements that are a little bit uncertain, you're kind of twisting around and such. We didn't make a big deal about those kinds of things, but you might want to take a deep breath, focus on the audience a little bit more, and try and control the delivery a bit so that your credibility is higher. But I think you do a good job with the information that you've got. All right, thank you.